Good afternoon and thanks for joining us. I'm Judy Simpson. It's leaf peeping season, and while tourists flock to the state to witness the natural beauty, Vermonters need something to do too. There is one event in northwestern Vermont that brings together creative individuals from the area. They use their talents for some spooky October entertainment and raise money for a good cause. Rebecca Gollin takes us to Essex for the story.
Autumn in Vermont brings crisp air, changing leaves, and apple cider. But for some, the fall season means only one thing.
Your inner monster is really just a version of your inner child.
That's right, it's Halloween. And these monsters in training take it pretty seriously.
Every monster does something different. Some of us are voiceless right now because they've been doing a lot of growling and snapping at people.
When you snap out and you start backing her up, okay, that's you snapping. Okay, so
this is a rehearsal for Nightmare Vermont, an interactive haunted house that's been running since 2004. The endeavor is a fundraiser for several local organizations, as well as a summer camp for underserved Vermont youth. It was the brainchild of director Jana Beagley.
There's a couple of things that keep me coming back. One is I really love the weird community that forms around Nightmare. We're a collection of people from all different walks of life, all different talents, and we come together, and for a lot of the people who are Nightmarians, which is what we call them, this is the first place where some of their darker elements or their weirder elements have really found a home.
And the other thing that keeps Beagley coming back?
And the other thing is the screaming. I love hearing people screaming. It's really just, it warms the cockles of my cold, cold heart.
There's just something thrilling, one, about hearing the scream and hearing that terror, but even more than that, right afterwards, when you hear those stories people talk about, when you're sitting there and someone is just like, oh my God, I was so scared, and it just kind of almost brings them together, and they have these great memories, and I think it's really cool to give people those experiences.
It is a 4-foot drop. So some of you will be just jumping straight down 4 feet, those of you who feel comfortable with it. Others will do a hand plant, and others will help people down.
Timothy Cray teaches the volunteers how to be convincing and safety-conscious monsters. One way they do that is by playing a version of Monster Tag.
I played a lot of games with them with the flags, and really teaching them how to, where the flags would be, what people would do, how to deal with people that are stuck against the walls, the kind of things that we knew were going to happen safety-wise. And then once we got that down, then we talked about, how do you walk? You're a creature from another planet, from another universe. You're going to move a little different. What noises do you make?
We focus on one body part. So some of us will go at people's shoulder first, or we'll lean forward. There's a bunch of different ways.
Cray teaches his monsters to have individual traits, but also work together as a unit. The final result is effective, which is just what these performers want.
It gives me this sense of satisfaction. I remember growing up, my mom would take me to haunted houses all the time, and I remember one year I left crying, and that was the year that I was like, I want to do this when I'm older.
This year I am playing Dr. Wasserman, kind of a big bad evil character. I also designed the sound and lights, and I will be running the sound and lights during the show.
This is UVM student Stephen Indrisano's fourth year volunteering with the show. A senior with a double major in theater and psychology, Indrisano came to college expecting to be pre-med. His first stint with Nightmare Vermont made him rethink that plan.
Nightmare Vermont is kind of responsible for me getting back into theater. I came to college thinking I was going to be a doctor, which turned out to not be the case. So I came to auditions first year thinking it would be a fun Halloween-y thing to do, and I just got sucked right back in. So it was just a great way for me to be able to practice my design and technical work while also doing something that I love. And it's for charity, so what's not to love?
And while the theme of the show changes every year, Beagley promises at least one thing will remain the same.
The only thing that we can guarantee you is that somebody will scream, "And something is evil."
Bringing thrills and chills to the community in order to benefit kids from around Vermont. This group of ghouls is ready for Halloween. In Essex, I'm Rebecca Gullen with Across the Fence.
I'm scared already. The 2018 version of Nightmare Vermont starts tomorrow and goes through October 27th at the Champlain Valley Expo in Essex Junction. For more information, including tickets, check the Nightmare Vermont website that's listed on your screen. The producers have issued a reminder about the show. They strongly recommend parental guidance for anybody under the age of 13. Well, as you heard in Rebecca's report, Nightmare Vermont serves as a fundraiser, and one of the main beneficiaries is Camp Exclamation Point. To learn more about that, I'm joined by two guests. Scott Moore started as a Camp Exclamation Point volunteer in 2002. He's now the managing director. Alongside Scott is his wife, Robin Moore. Robin has spent 10 years volunteering as the camp's waterfront director. Welcome to both of you.
Thank you.
So, Scott, what is Camp Exclamation Point?
Camp is a one-week residential summer camp program that serves the underprivileged rural Vermont children that wouldn't have an opportunity to do something like this.
And what's the camp's connection with Nightmare Vermont?
That would be me. I have been volunteering with Nightmare since the early days. 2005, I think, was my first year. I've been a monster, a good guy, a hero, done stage management, ticket sales, that kind of stuff. And then as the managing director of camp, I'm always looking for opportunities for fundraising. And when Nightmare moved to the Champlain Valley Fair as part of their nonprofit mission, the partnership has Nightmare giving away 10% of the proceeds. So when I found out that Nightmare needed a core group of volunteers to help out with ticket sales and everything, and I happened to have a pool of volunteers from camp, it seemed like a logical conclusion to put them all together.
And so where did the kids, Robin, come from who makes them eligible for Camp Exclamation Point?
So we focus on the more rural areas of Vermont, which, let's be honest, is most of the state. But kids who are living in the cities sometimes have access to programs they can get to by bus or at their schools, where the kids in the rural areas really have a difficult time having that connection, especially with a large group of other kids. And so we focus on those areas. We look for kids who do have a connection to agriculture, if possible. Certainly economic conditions, limited conditions, is something we're looking for. And also we focus on kids who may have had some life disruption, either divorces or things like parents who are incarcerated, those things. So we work with guidance counselors throughout the state to try to find kids that kind of meet those criteria.
Now, you mentioned usually summer camps, you think of kids, inner city kids who don't get a chance to experience the rural landscape. And so it's kind of interesting to think that here are kids who live in Vermont, in rural areas, but they don't get the experiences that they would get if they went to camp.
Exactly, and it's a unique opportunity for them to have a community that they can count on year after year, and so it gives them kind of a core group that they know is part of their lives.
And you've had kids come back year after year.
Yeah, that's right. One of our core missions is what we call continuity. So once a child's been invited to camp, as long as they have a successful experience, they're invited back year after year, and their siblings or close relatives are also automatically included if they choose to come.
Scott, how many volunteer staff do you have?
We have about 80 volunteer staff. Probably a third of them right now actually were campers originally, and they've had a chance to go through our teen leadership program, learn the skills to become a counselor. As you can see on the screen, when we have some of the counselors there learning how to teach other kids, and in this case they're doing some carnival construction where they're learning some building skills that we put together for our weekend celebration of the week.
And so, Robin, how are you looking for volunteers, and do they need any special skills or training?
So a core section of our volunteers really just need to love kids and want to come and provide a great summer camp experience. The counselors who are in the cabins with the children, and all of our counselors provide our programming. We don't hire a specific person to teach tennis or a specific person to teach other skills. The counselors bring their own skills and talents and share those. However, we always have a few areas where we definitely need some specialized skills. As the waterfront director, I can tell you I'm always looking for certified lifeguards and people willing to teach swim lessons. Certainly our kitchen staff, which is amazing, needs folks who are willing to be in that facility and prepare 3 meals a day for almost 200 people. But certainly anyone is welcome, and they can go straight to our website, which is campexclamationpoint.org, all spelled out. And there's a volunteer section that they can check out.
And a lot of people volunteer their time as their summer vacation.
Absolutely.
It's mine.
And mine too. And for a lot of the folks, you know, I know often people say, well, maybe you get a lot of educators who aren't full-time in the summer, but we actually have quite a broad swath of folks who volunteer and who use their vacation time to come every year.
And so, Scott, talk about the guiding principles of camp.
Sure, we have 4 basic guiding principles, one of which is core, where we believe every child should have the experiences of art, literacy, nature, science, and swim lessons. We also have, like Robin mentioned, continuity, where the children have a chance to come back year after year. We have some campers who came when they were really little because their parents were on staff, and they're still there 20 some odd years later. And community is another one where we believe in fostering a community of kindness, and the kids really have a chance to, if at home they might be a little bit disenfranchised and they're the kids that are on the edges, they come to camp and this is their home. Some of the history of camp is they came from the migrant education program, so they may have been moving around following the dairy herds and be in 2 or 3 different school districts in 1 year. Well, it's hard to be that new kid all the time. So you come to camp and this is your home. This is the place everyone knows your name.
Why do you think the kids and volunteers keep coming back?
I think it's magic. It's hard to describe it unless you've seen it and been there, but even if you come for a day, you'll sense that the fostering of kindness and the people, and when you walk into the room and you're surrounded by a community of caring adults whose whole mission is to create this loving, caring environment for the kids, it's just magical.
And what do you think is so special about it, Robin?
I think one of the great things that we offer, our 4th C, is choice. We teach the kids to that they can make a choice every day to direct their camp experience, but what we're hoping they learn from that is that they can make a choice with whatever information comes their way in life, and that they can change their own circumstances through their choices, their behaviors. And I think the adults involved really know that we're changing kids' lives, and I think the kids come out of it stronger human beings, stronger community members, and I think that's why all of us come back every year, is that we're really making a difference. It's
really giving kids ownership and having them take responsibility for what they're doing, which is great. When you first started volunteering for camp, exclamation point, Scott and Robin, do you remember that moment that you realized this is it, this is really what I need to be doing, and come back again and again?
I do. The very first year I volunteered was 2002. And as I mentioned in Nightmare, I'm a big security guy. I'm a monster. I'm a scary guy. And yet, when I was there at camp, and I've been a camp counselor for many years, over in high school and college. But here, the very last day on my first year, when the kids were at breakfast, ready to go home, and I looked around and I saw the love and the kindness and the joy, and then I thought about, they've had a great week. Maybe they're going home to some tough situations. And I had to excuse myself and leave the dining hall for a moment and just go around the corner and just have that shed a tear moment of I wanted to take all these kids home and adopt them.
Hey, Robin, what is Camp Exclamation Point's biggest need, and how can people help?
Well, to be perfectly honest, we're a very small nonprofit. We are blessed to have support from a lot of local foundations through grants and some local businesses, but certainly, we're raising a lot of money. So, if people can go check out Nightmare, some of their ticket proceeds are going to come to us. And quite honestly, if folks are moved and interested, we can always use financial support.
All right, well, just a reminder, Nightmare Vermont gets underway tomorrow night. We also want you to know that you can provide support or get more information about Camp Exclamation Point by checking out the website and also watch the videos. They're really terrific to watch. The address is on your screen, campexclamationpoint.org. Thanks so much for coming in today.
Thank you for having us.
That's our program for today. I'm Judy Simpson. I'll see you again next time on Across the Fence.